What's up, you guys? I'm going to show you a vocal recording workflow using a template that already includes sidechain, auxiliary, bus routing, instrumental effects you can drag to, all kinds of good stuff to have you looking like a pro if you're ever hosting a recording session or anything of the likes. So let's jump into it. So first thing we'll notice when we jump in here is some reference sections if you want to reference and mix in the same project that you actually recorded with your client or recorded for yourself. By holding Alt, I can click Reference, and now it'll only play references, and then I can hold Alt and click Mix Bus, and everything else, my entire project, will light up for easy referencing. Now any master effects can go onto our actual mix bus, and those will no longer affect our reference like they would if we did it in our actual master over here. To switch references, you would just manually click between the references. Something else cool that we have here is we have a phone reference output button where I can literally just turn this on, and then I can reference audio on my phone without having to export the audio from FL Studio, load it onto Google Drive, and all that good stuff. If you're interested, check out the video above on that. Now, with this setup, we can do tape automation extremely quickly, as well as high pass or low pass our instrumental just by dragging and dropping. And just by dragging and dropping like that, we can quick apply effects that we can hone in later when the actual session is over. Which is great for working quickly and throwing ideas at the board with some of the most common effects you're going to be asked for by your clients, at least if you're doing 2-track recording. And to unapply those effects, I can literally just drag these back up and they will resynchronize with the mixer track that is associated with my instrumental right here. Hooked up to this, we automatically have a sidechain. I use Waves F6. If you download this, you can always replace it with something else to sidechain for vocals. And we'll see our vocal bus here is being sent off to the instrumental to do that sidechaining. And if we notice, our instrumental comes in already turned down, -6 dB, which you're going to always have to end up doing in most cases when you load in to record. So that takes a step away from something that you have to do every time already. Now, if we jump over to our vocals here, which is this track, I can choose my mic input, I can arm the track, and I can record straight from the playlist without ever having to leave the project. You'll of course want to set your BPM to match the project so that after we record, when we bring things down to this vocal throw, for example, it'll all be on time. Now, if we notice, my vocals are ran to 3 places here. I have one running to the vocal bus, and then I have 2 things out here running to these auxiliary buses, which are collapsible and hideable. These are named parallel and reverb. I have an reverb loaded here, but none of this is definite. They can be used for whatever. Now, to send those, we're using some routing here, which can be renamed, and you can also change the amount being sent using this volume knob. And the reason we use these to send the signal off is because these are before our mute button. And so we could mute our main vocal going out and listen to only our reverb or only our parallel, rather than if I didn't send out using these, then when I muted the vocals, there would be no signal here, so these would mute as well. If you'll notice, I set up the template. This is mixer 8 and 9. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The reason I did this is because these sends are number based. So you'll see vocal bus is number 1 because vocal bus is 7, which is before 8 and 9. So if I route to this reference, for example, you'll see 2 is now vocal bus, which means all of our routing's messed up because this is no longer going to the parallel. And so therefore I set these mixer tracks earlier so that nothing will ever be before these and throw off our routing, and so that anybody who uses this never has to worry about it. That's something you should be aware of though, just in case you're using this template, because when you've got a really loud vocal and you throw this off and all of a sudden your vocals doubled in volume and screaming at you because of the routing, you're going to be upset. And instead of ever having to recreate this routing and these complications ever again, I have done it here for you. Now you'll notice our parallel and reverb start faders down so that they don't impede the track, but we can add them whenever we want, which is great. Now, if we look here, we'll see my doubles is routed to my main vocals and my ad-libs are routed to my main vocals as well. Why? Well, the reason why is to save CPU. If somebody wants to load their vocal effects onto this track, they can do so. And now to add my sins back, I can just go here and add them whenever I want to. And now the reason this saves CPU is because if I'm recording doubles, I can record it with my already preset vocal chain as well as my ad-libs without having to load a bunch of extra mixer tracks and mixer states full of effects that are going to create latency when I'm trying to record and stress out the CPU. Now, the way I record is always at the external input so that I can work like this non-destructively, but still hear what those effects sound like on my vocal. And this is going to be great because if I do record, check, 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 we will see that it is automatically routed to 14, which is the track that has all the effects. However, this is a dry recording with none of those effects added. And in my opinion, that is extremely useful. Now, the cool thing about running this setup like this is that if I record again, check, 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 it comes in grouped with the above track and still ran to that same effect track. And this is why it's great to work this way, because I can very quickly disarm this track and arm this track. And now if we're running doubles, it's going to be organized in the double section. Ad-libs will be organized in the ad-lib section. And much like there's drag downs for the instrumental, where I could drag down to tape effects, high pass, and low pass, I can drag down to my left and right section for my ad-libs, which will hard pan my ad-libs right or left. As well, if I drag this down to here, that's now going to be a vocal throw. Check, 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 check. This vocal throw here, though, is only wet signal, so you'll want to duplicate and copy the audio over by holding Shift and making unique. So in order to do this, I could Shift, make unique, and bring it on down. And now these combine together. Check, 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 check. And we have a vocal throw, which can either be turned down, shortened, lengthened, whatever you want to do, but the track is there and ready for you to use it. Now, if you have multiple artists on the same track, I've got vocals 2 and vocals 3 for organization's sake. Everything is all routed the same and everything works exactly the same. So when you're done tracking one person's stuff, you can just highlight all of these and click it when you get this little arrow on the left and hide it. Go to these ones and drop it down. And here we are ready to record the next artist. Something else to note for recording workflow, just very quickly, if you'll notice I had to mute these for the next recording. If you click loop recording and you make sure blend recording is off, then every time you record, when you're done, it'll come in muted so you can do another take without having to hear yourself back. If you want to learn more about how our blend recording and this loop recording work and work together interchangeably, you can check out my video on that above. Now, on the rare occasion that you're going to have more than 3 artists on a track, we can easily add more of these by highlighting a whole group, right-clicking, and then clicking clone. And we want to clone everything. And now you'll see we've got a whole nother set of these same tracks. And even cooler, we've got a whole nother set of mixer tracks to go with it. So now something to note about this is although it'll copy over all of this stuff, it's not going to copy over any of the routing. So you have to do that yourself. In order to do that quickly, you can hold Control and select your doubles and ad-libs, for example, route to this track only to the vocals. Our vocal throw is always going to our mix bus. We can route our vocals to our vocal bus, and then our left, right to our ad-libs track. And now all of this is routed like normal. The only thing that's not routed is our parallels or our auxiliary tracks, which we can just click here and then turn these down because we don't want signal coming from the track and going to the auxiliary tracks. Because remember, we're having our Fruity Sins actually send that information. That way, when we mute here, it lets us solo our auxiliary tracks rather than shutting off any signal flowing to the auxiliary tracks. And so to set these up, you can just right click, parallel routing, parallel aux, right click, it's reverb aux. And now all of this is set and ready to go. You can, of course, route the doubles or ad-libs directly to the vocal bus. Again, I just do it this way to save CPU. That way I can load the vocal chain right here. And then all of these will run to the vocal chain as well. Everything is subject to change as you work and once you actually get to the mixing stage. Now, if you're recording only a single artist and all of this stuff is excessive and just bothering you and getting in your way, then you can select it all. We can right click and go to reset, right click and go to unassigned. And then in our mixer, all of these will lose their color, but not the rest of it. So we can just control, drag across them, right click, reset selected tracks to default. Now again, doing this, now, just like creating the new ones didn't already route them, doing that doesn't actually delete your routing. We can just select the same tracks or keep them selected and click Reset Selected Tracks Routing. And in case you care, our mix bus has analyzers for monitoring, just like our reference does. And we have a loudness meter loaded on the master. And I think that just about covers it. With this template, we have easy referencing with analyzers already loaded for monitoring, instrumental and instrumental effects with sidechain all preloaded and everything easy to use, a vocal recording workflow that is meant to save you CPU usage and save you time so that you can work seamlessly when working with somebody else, and more. In the next video, we're going to go over vocal comping, and we will be doing that within my song creation template rather than the 2-track template, just because that's where I have a song that needs to be comped available to me. If you're interested in that, click above. If you don't see my comping video available, that's because it'll drop in another 4 days. I post once every 4 days, and these videos take a lot of work. So please subscribe and smash that bell button if you want to see it when it comes out. And if there's anything that you think this needs or that you think is missing or that you would like to see in your workflows, let me know down below. So if you like this video, please like this video. If you have any comments, please comment. I always appreciate a subscribe. It's Warren with Scale Audio. Adios.